I need your thoughts on The Bear, episode 4, Dogs, all day.
Heard. Spoilers ahead, chef.
Let it rip.
If you watch a show and don't immediately trade memes and giggles with your best Judy, did you really have a few viewing experience?
Of course not. When the credits roll, that's our signal to debrief.
I'm Jose Miguel.
And I'm Lesley.
And we've been friends since we were kids.
And we realize some shows are just too good not to gab about. This is Heated Reverence.
All right, the order's in. Let's get the IMDb description and the recap out to the table.
Carmy and Richie cater a kid's birthday party. Tina and Sydney work together while Marcus makes donuts. All right, as the first-time viewer, what is your overall vibe?
This kid's party had me like howling, laughing from, just people like how they were coming at Richie, and then like the chaos that's ensuing with the kids, and then Cicero just kind of being like, I don't know, this guy that plays Cicero, he's been in other shows, and I just can't see him being the character of Cicero. So it's hard to see him in this environment of trying to be like a tough guy who was like a head honcho and is like, you owe me money and you're going to do this. Like, that's a struggle for me to see him in that role. And so I'm like, the vibe of this kid's party is like, this is not a kid's party. This is an adult party that's for a kid's birthday. But that kid that was screaming, like, oh my God, yeah, you all deserve to go to a fucking nap. Like, so it was, I mean, the overall vibe, I guess to give it a sentence or give it a word, to me felt chaos, but like not in compared to the other episodes, just a very different type of chaos.
For me, it was really refreshing to get to see them outside of the restaurant for so long. The episode opens in daylight is kind of like startling, like they're outside. But for me, my overall vibe was like, wow, Sydney runs a tight ship. For somebody who was so resistant to take things on and to take it on while she's alone, in the previous episode, here we see her and she is running stuff really effectively.
Chef's new prep list is up. Please check it out. Thank you.
But also kind of a little like cold, like when Fax asks her if...
Think I can get family today?
Neil, you don't work here.
That's right. Why are you here? I felt the same way.
Well, Carmy keeps hiring him for special projects like the game, the arcade game and things of that nature.
Bye. Do your job and bye.
He's a jack of all trades. Get used to him is all I got to say about that. But then at the same time when like, because it is such a casual environment where like people just drop in at whatever time. The fact that Marcus had his roommate.
My guys.
Wow, Chester, yes, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Love you, of course, love you, dog. Yes, bruh.
Like, and she's like, hey, who are you? Sorry. Sorry that I have to like ask you.
Who are you? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Chester, this is Chef Sydney. Sydney, this is my roommate, Chester.
Cool. Why are you here? Sorry.
She knows that, like she's coming across as abrasive, but at the same time, she's writing things, and it is her business to know, like, why are you in my kitchen? Let's kick off the recap.
Carmy and Richie head out to cater a chaotic kid's birthday party, hoping to chip away at the massive debt they owe Uncle Jimmy.
You know what? First of all, I didn't want to be doing this bullshit right now.
All right, you know what? Then don't borrow money from Cicero you can't pay back, and then we don't have to cater little fucking kids' birthday parties. How about...
Back in the restaurant, Sydney patiently manages a stubborn staff and helps Tina rescue a ruined batch of mashed potatoes.
Okay. Why are you always like watching me?
Because it's just sort of my job.
Meanwhile, Marcus pursues a new passion project, baking the perfect donut.
I was thinking maybe I could do a classic donut for the beef. I want it to be perfect.
At the party, Carmy's homemade juice is accidentally spiked with Xanax, knocking out every kid on the lawn. Luckily, Jimmy considers the sudden quiet a blessing in disguise. The day ends with a major shift in the kitchen dynamic as Tina finally drops her guard and calls Sydney chef for the first time. All right, what do you want to highlight from this episode?
To me, this seems like a watered-down version of episode 1. From, Marcus needing a James Beard Award, give him that cake. He just seems like he really got his shit together. He's got his Pantone colors. He knows what he's doing. I can appreciate someone who is very artistically when they want to craft some cakes as a person who bakes. So to me, that stood out a lot. And then where do we begin with Richie? How do you accidentally pour a half a bottle of Xanax into Punch for Kids.
Did we see Richie do that? I think we're making assumptions here. We don't really know, but there is a moment in the episode where we see like the camera hold still on like the shady character and he's looking shifty. And in my head canon at release, I blame him for doing it. I think Richie was careless by leaving that bottle out on the table because he offered it to Carmy. I don't think it was necessarily him who did it, is all I'm going to say.
That's a valid point. We don't know, right? It could have been worse. They just went to sleep. But at the same time, like, yeah, whatever. It's fucking Richie. How about that? And this one, for me, was really the hardest. Ketchup belongs on a hot dog, you asshole. Like, I'm the kind of person, if I'm eating a hot dog, I'm going to take the bottle of ketchup and I'm going to go back and forth once and twice. And then I'm going to take my mustard, spicy brown mustard. I'm going to go with the squiggly line because I'm that bitch. Ketchup belongs in a hot dog. I've never not, like, I have this argument with Rich all the time. He won't put ketchup in his hot dogs. I'm like, why don't you put ketchup on your hot dog? Because, well, I'll put it on sausage. I'm like, on sausage, but you won't put it on a hot dog? Help me understand that logic.
The ketchup, which box?
I didn't bring ketchup.
Why didn't you bring ketchup?
What kind of asshole is gonna put ketchup on a hot dog?
And the fact that Richie was like,
A child, Richie.
Child asshole.
oh. Yeah. For me, what I want to highlight is at the very end of the episode when they're all enjoying that cake that Marcus made, the camera goes into the sign that's in the dining room, which basically is like, you know, to your point about like this could have been, it felt like the pilot episode, this could have been like another, it could have served as a soft pilot as well because the thesis statement is right on that sign where like it says something along the lines of you don't take things personally here. Whatever it is out there, like back in here, it's the 80s. We're politically incorrect. Don't take it to heart. Get used to it kind of a vibe. So like it really like establishes this is what you're dealing with, a motley crew of people who probably in their normal life, if it wasn't for this work environment, would not be interacting with each other. And we're going to be go on a journey with them.
All right, let's transition to our weekly traditions.
The fight between Richie and Carmy at the very beginning.
What's this shit? What's
This fucking guy.
Yeah.
It was so indicative of like the history that they must have with each other because it was like, you know, we keep hearing them say cousins, cousins. It was very cousins energy. You know, the fact that it broke into like Carmen was busting his balls, like saying, like, do me a favor, name an associate, name a cohort, because Richie was trying to sound like self-important. So Carmen was on one already, you know, from the jump. Like, I've had enough of this guy. I'm gonna call him out on his bullshit. And it ends up escalating into basically like a slap fight. It was like it reminded me about little kids when they're cousins, you know, who like end up roughhousing with each other, but they're not really trying to hurt each other. Notice that neither one of them made a fist. They weren't really trying to cause physical harm to each other, but they were trying to like check each other. Like they were not backing down, either one of them, until that freaking balloon pops and deflates it. And the both of them are just like, well, shit, that happened. Okay. And Tina isn't even flagged by it. Like she goes outside to throw out some garbage and she sees that is what, you know, is ensuing. And it's just like, okay, it's just another day.
Yeah.
You know, it's the usual locura that happens around here and, you know, just kept it moving.
Now that I'm like replaying it in my head as we're talking about it, I'm like dying laughing. I was like, they're children. And the cousin dynamic to me did stand out. Like I didn't really think about addressing it, but I remember my younger cousins, we were, well, they are younger than me. I was the oldest, but like we were close. Like we all grew up tight together. And it was that same kind of shit. There was fists, mind you, but it was that same kind of dynamic. And it's also like when you think about it now, like as adults, that would never happened. But at the same time, it's like, why are you trying to be an alpha on each other? Like this kind of hierarchy that they're trying to fight for, but like you're both leaving in the same car together to go to this damn party, and you're going to be pouting the whole way there because you're pendejos. Like, you just don't want to get over it. Like, whose piss stream is the tallest or whatever? Like, I don't get that shit. To me, that's annoying as an adult. As a kid, I get it, but as an adult, like, really, guys? Really? Just so funny. Just so funny.
All right, what is your corner moment?
That birthday party. Girl. This sounds horrible, but I'm sure parents who have children would probably agree with me. Those kids deserve to be knocked out. They were out of fucking control. Just like, Jesus Christ, like, even to like when Carmen walks in and all these people coming at him and asking him all these crazy questions.
I got one question for you.
Yeah,
So you work in a restaurant, right?
I work in a restaurant, that's right.
What's it like to be a fucking loser, huh?
Good.
I don't even know you and you're asking me questions about my personal life. And then just like the whole day seemed like that kid wilding out in the corner.
You guys are so weird. What are you doing opening up other people's stuff for?
There was just so many different things. I was like, this is not a normal kid's birthday party. These kids need to be checked. There's a lack of respect happening here.
Carmy, he definitely knew those people. Like, these are people he grew up with. Uncle Jimmy Cicero, like, they've all been in each other's orbit. So, like, it felt very much like old folks who haven't seen you in a long time, who just want to show you that they care about you, but the only way that they know is to give you attention is busting balls, right?
I'm laughing because you said old folk, and I was like, they let them out of the old folks' home just to come to this party.
Because, I mean, they were elders. Like, the dude was like, hey, when he saw Carmy, he was just like, I thought you died.
Hey, Mr. Zersky, how are you?
I thought you'd killed yourself.
No. Sir, that was my brother.
The guy does not even share his condolences, like, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. And he was just like, oh, okay. Like, that is, that is the kind of behavior that you only like allow an excuse for the elderly, because it's just like they have no fucks left to give. And so I was like, yeah, well, no wonder these kids are a shit show. They're being raised by these kinds of people. Like, what are we doing here?
It's fucking crazy. Oh my God. I just die. I'm just like this. I'm laughing because it's probably the most I've laughed us talking about it. But at the same time, like, there's so many things that are just wrong.
You've been to those parties when you were a kid.
Oh, but you don't, like, as an adult, and you think about it now, like, oh, that was bad. Like, you don't really know it. You're just like, what? And you just keep going about it because it's not, you don't want to waste energy on that. You're about the party, you want to go have fun.
Who is your walk-in nominee?
Oh, well, I've got two. Okay. By Tina, by Richie. To me, Tina's doing everything she's doing on purpose. This is like to teach Sid a lesson. But the reality is that, like, I don't think Sydney is trying to do anything intentional to Tina. Her behavior to me seems like it's a disregard in respect towards a person who's in a leadership position. And maybe leadership isn't the best word to describe like what that is in the organization that they're working in. But at the same time, like, she just wants to help you. All she's trying to do is like help you get to the end result of what your task is. And recognizing that, like, the way you're doing it isn't the best way to get to it. So, like, here's another way to do it that's quicker. And Richie, for all the obvious reasons, I mean, come on, dude. Like, you're at a kid's party. Why would you leave a bottle of Xanax on the table?
Yeah, that was careless.
That just seems like, and you have a kid.
All right, so once they're done with the walk-in, I am inviting Uncle Jimmy.
It's a constant rotation.
I'm inviting Jimmy Cicero to that because he was on one. Like, okay, right after we see, Carmy say to Richie, like,
I'm trying to get us out of this hole. All right? I want today to go smooth. Please do not bring that shit up.
Chill. I'm not gonna bring up shit.
Just don't get into a fight with Jimmy. And the very first time that we see Jimmy in this episode is he's arguing with Richie, right?
No, you got it all wrong.
It's literally the easiest fucking job.
See
in the doorway, Carmy is like holding all the supplies, and it's just like has to like withstand and witness this before he could be given like instructions on what he's supposed to be doing. But then like Jimmy is going through it with these kids. Like, it's the fact that he screams out to Carol,
Carol, can you please help me? It really fucking sucks in here.
He's supposed to be a tough guy, but he's basically being bullied by these children. You know, I think he needs some time in the walk-in.
Might as well put me in there with him. Remember how I said, like, I don't see him as Cicero, as this big macho person? This is exactly why I don't see him that way. And it's a hard time for me to feel like they owe you money. Do they really owe you money? Like, is there really a debt there? Or are you just coming to be the protective uncle of like trying to make them get to a better place? I don't know, but like, this is just giving me weird vibes. Not in a bad way, just like, huh? Are you who you say you are?
You're picking up on a lot of things. I know you always say that like you don't pick up on stuff, but you are picking up on a lot that's going to pay off further down the line. So I'm really excited. The fact that you're honing in on that this early on in the process, I'm really excited for when we get to the later seasons.
But it's only happening because we're having the conversation. In the moment of me watching it, like you're saying things that because you've watched it so many times already, if I had to go back and rewatch it, maybe I would pick it up. But in our conversations is how I'm like coming to that, like the light bulb is lighting up. There's something up there doing its work. Maybe it's, you know, the pedals, the gears they're moving.
All right. On that note, what is your most relatable moment?
The family dessert. I am the kind of person who loves to bake. I love to cook. I feel like food brings people together. It's the way to anybody's heart. And I'm all about a creative process. Like I always say that baking is a science and cooking is an art. But when you can bake something and then make it art afterwards, to me is just a game changer. And I just love the whole creative process about it. Watching Marcus and his element, for me, was something that I can very much so see in his character and how deep he goes in. He's got a Pantone book. That
He's
says
passionate.
it all.
He's passionate.
He is locked in. The ADHD, he's like, he took his pill. He is in his zone of genius. He is running it. He's like, no one talk to me. I'm mixing.
He's hyper fixated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And I mean, the reward, like, I know that you love to bake, you know, and you take so much care. When you send me those photos, I am always so jealous that I am not up there, you know, in New York so that I
when
can
I
swing
come
by and
down,
pick some.
I'll make you some good cake.
But yeah, the fact that like he does this like really beautiful chocolate mousse cake or whatever it was that, you know, like really brings everybody together. Ibra remarks about it to Sydney, like, you know, you're giving Marcus a lot of confidence. Everyone at the end of the day, like you see Tina like taking that bite of that cake and she's just, as much as she's had like a chip on her shoulder in that moment, it's just like that cake brought peace. And it's just like goes to show you like food bringing people together and that community family vibe. It's how it's building for us to see in that moment.
What was yours?
My most relatable moment was everyone bonding over not liking Pete.
Heads up, you know, Pete's here.
Oh, I'm aware.
Jimmy and Richie could not stand each other early on in the episode until Jimmy finally like realized that, hey, Richie wasn't lying.
Number sound familiar, Ricky?
Yeah, because that's Michael's number.
They were at such odds with each other in the very beginning, but they bonded over the fact that they feel that Pete gives off narc energy.
He always looks like he's about to call the cops on us. You know what I mean?
Like a narc.
Exactly. Like a fucking narc.
Like I'm watching this, like everyone, even Carmy, it was just like, I don't, you know, nobody wants to fuck with Pete. We've heard in earlier episodes where like he had to like apologize to Pete over the phone, and like Carmy wanted credit when he spoke to Natalie, like, hey, did you hear? I apologized, you know, like because nobody likes him. Carmy did something to Pete, just so you know. Carmy did something to Pete in that phone call. We learned that he had to go to urgent care to take care of it. So like, this was in a previous episode during that phone call. So this is how much people do not.
Oh, when he answered the phone.
Right. This is how much people do not fuck with Pete. Right. And the fact that they're bonding over that disdain, to me was so relatable because I've had moments in my family where like there's people who like had more money and were kind of like hoity-toity and they would come like stay with us. And I grew up with like TMI for a sec, but like I have like half siblings who I didn't know were half siblings, but like we didn't all share the same mom or the same dad in one household, and there was like tensions between people, under one roof. But then when this cousin came in who was like hoity-toity and kind of just like rubbing everybody wrong for different reasons, because we felt like he was kind of stuck up and like looking down on us on how we do things or taking advantage of our kindness and et cetera, et cetera. Like we all kind of bonded over the fact that we did not like this one character, this one person, not a character, this human being.
I mean, they are a character if you think about it.
But, so like, yeah, that was definitely relatable to me. And I'm sure as the youngest of 6 siblings, I'm sure I was Pete to them. Like this little rugrat with her crayons and coloring books all over the place, like that they're tripping off of my toys and all of that. I'm sure there were times where I was Pete to everybody else. So yeah, that was the most relatable to me. And it was sweet and endearing that eventually, Carmy came to a place of like accepting him,
Yeah,
like
that car ride was so funny.
Yeah.
Just so funny.
When he was like, thank you for letting me be a part of this family. And like, that was enough. Like Richie wasn't going to say anything about the fact that he had his head on, like he was leaning on him, was falling asleep. But once he said that, thank you, he had to mush him to the other side. Cause like, okay, I can't take the sincerity. I can't take it with you. And Carmy, who he had a little moment where he expressed like his deep admiration and respect for what he did when he was in New York, was like, okay, you're not so bad. You're annoying, but you're not so bad.
Like, why do you have to be related to me by marriage? Kind of a thing.
Yeah. All right. What's your Michelin standard rating?
I'm giving it a 1. I think it's better than the 0 that I gave the first episode with the chaos that was going on. But like giving this episode a 1 to me felt like it definitely is worth the stop. But also at the same time, we're still seeing so much more character development. We're getting to know them on this level. So it's growing on me. How about that? It's coming to like a simmer.
To your point about like how you said this could have been a pilot, I gave this episode a 2-star rating because there was so much growth, but also like, remember how in the previous episode, I only gave it 1 star because I'm like, this is not one of the episodes that I go revisit often. This episode, Dogs, it just gives me depth on all the different characters in terms of like where they're going. It could function as a pilot, but also it gives us a different angle of all these different characters. We see Tina is not as abrasive as she was in the first episode where she was calling Carmy puta. She never disrespects Sydney that way. She never disrespects her that way. So we see she's insecure and she's resistant and abrasive, but she's not with the same level of comfort and like insubordination as she was with Carmy. We see Marcus being passionate and actually wanting to learn more. We see different sides of Richie. We see,
Yeah, because it's in a different environment, not inside the restaurant.
So like for me, it was worth the detour because we are going outside of the restaurant. So to me, 2 stars.
Okay.
All right. That is our service.
Heard. We'll be back next time to discuss episode 5, Sheridan.
Heated Reverence is hosted by Jose Miguel Longo and Lesley Obando.
If you enjoyed obsessing with us, hit the like button, and more importantly, follow the show or subscribe so you're invited to every hang session.
Tell us your own heat and heart score or the exact second a scene ruined your brain on Instagram and TikTok at Heated Reverence. You can also catch the full video version of the show on our YouTube channel.
And for long-form thoughts that need more than a caption, hit us at heatedreverence@gmail.com. We'll see you next week.